Good morning, gang. Good morning. Welcome back to this week's altcoin update. First and foremost, remember, nothing is financial advice. This is all for educational purposes only, and it's my view of the markets. And now that's out of the way, let's jump into the chart, shall we? So this week we've had requests for RUNE and VET, or is it VeChain? So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Before we jump into the charts, quick shout out for today's video sponsor, which is BingX. We work with BingX quite well because not only can you trade crypto on BingX, but you can also trade FX, commodities, and indices. And they've got a special promotion on right now where it's no KYC, and you can get up to a $5,000 deposit bonus. And also the first 50 signups on the back of this video will also receive a $100 trading bonus that you can use. So yeah, obviously that's BingX, so big shout out to them guys. And obviously if you do want a no KYC exchange, then check them out. Links down in the description. Okay, so RUNE. Let's have a look, shall we? RUNE. So RUNE was one that we were looking at in the group last week. It actually came a little bit higher than what we were looking at for a trade setup, which is absolutely fine. In the end, what we got, obviously we're looking on the weekly chart here, and last week we ended up taking out these highs, little swing fairly pattern on the weekly. And what we ended up doing is actually coming up into this old weekly level here that didn't get tapped, okay? So that's the resistance that ended up knocking us down, which then also lines up with a 0.5 fib. Okay, so we just throw the old 0.5 fib on. There you go. That's what it ended up coming up into, and that's what we got the rejection off, okay? So now looking at this on a weekly time frame, we can see here, obviously, from a weekly perspective, this is the high that ended up creating the low. And then we've ended up breaking back above that high now with a weekly close, okay? So does this mean now I'm bullish and I'm looking for higher prices? Or does this mean this is just a deviation? Well, we've had a deviation up here with a swing fairly pattern and we're going down lower, okay? Well, for me, it means it's still range bound, okay? And surprise, surprise, because everything's still range bound. Everything's still range bound until proven otherwise. You start clearing this and moving up and continuing this uptrend, then yeah, we can start looking for higher prices. But until then, we're still range bound, okay? So I know some people will get overly excited about moves like this and they'll think that's it, bull market's back, it's you know, load up your bags, we're going to the moon. I just don't think that way at all, okay? Because there's a lot of uncertainty in the market, there's very little liquidity in the market right now, and until all that starts to change around, it's crab market, okay? It's crab market. So, what can we look at? Okay, so we know where we're rejected from. We know the reasons why we're rejected. Nice and simple. Okay, so let's get rid of this now. Okay, let's zoom into the daily. And let's take a look at where we are. Okay, so with this one, I'm going to say that we're range bound. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the range fib tool that you've seen us use many, many times in here. So I'm going to go from the June lows up to the highs in August last year. Okay, and then I'm going to change this to the old range fib tool and see if we've got any confluence. Okay, and would you look at that? We've got some confluence. Okay, this is if I pre-planned this. Okay, so we've got lows, we've got highs, we've got respect to the lows, we've got the deviation to the first standard deviation, rejection, acceptance, lots of messing around, and in the end we just continue to float around the first standard deviation of the range fib tool. Okay, now this move here, taking out these lows here, reclaiming back up. So first thing to spot here, first thing to note would be for me, this needs to hold if you're bullish, okay? This region here needs to hold. And why do I say that? Well, quite simply, if we're looking at this on the daily structure, on a daily time frame, this whole move up from this deviation to the range lows, again, these June lows here, was very thin. Very thin. It was just up only. You know what? All the morons in the market love to see this kind of price action because this is just so bullish. But what they fail to realise in a sideways market is if this does start to get acceptance back down here, then likelihood is we'll go through this just as quick, if not faster, than we pushed up in the first place. Okay? So this region here is critical in my opinion. Okay? Could it mess around here? Maybe start to spike the lows and then move up? Yeah, that's perfectly acceptable. Okay? Again, you'd be looking at that on a lower term time frame, not necessarily the daily chart that we're on right now. But if we do get something along those lines, then it's an acceptable long in my opinion. But you want to see that change. You want to see that liquidity swept. You want to see that change in structure. And then you want to then look for your longs there. Okay, so this is critical. Okay, well, on the flip side of that, if this doesn't hold, like I said, we'll come back down through this very thin, and we'll likely come back down towards this sticky zone right here. Okay, why do I say that sticky zone there? Well, if we do a volume profile from there to there, we can see that the point of control's down there. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out, that all the volume for this whole move up is down here. Okay, so if we do end up rolling over, then chances are we're coming back to visit this zone here. Okay, from there, again, this is now critical. If we do start to come down here, and it gives us a sign of strength, then you've got longs. If it doesn't, then you're just letting it roll over, and chances are we're going to start targeting these lows down here at the very least. Okay, start staking out those lows. Let's chuck this onto log, and we can see what's below us. Okay, so we can see here, this sticky zone here is what caught this low. Okay, now if this fails to hold, and it's not a simple case of an SFP of those lows, or maybe a failed rally, then we can start looking down, quite frankly, back into this range here. Okay, now that's not me being overly bearish, that's just me stating where the next sticky zone would be. So you'd be looking at roughly 60 cents down to 33 cents. Okay, now if you're a bag holder and you're deep underwater, because I don't know, you've been buying up here because you're a bit daft, which happens, it happens. You know, I'm not here to poke fun at people because, you know, we all come into crypto, typically speaking, at the top of a cycle. It's just part of the nature. But obviously, that's very much a possibility if we take out these lows and don't reclaim them fast. Okay, very real possibility of coming down there. Okay, so that's the downside. Okay, well, what happens if this does hold and we carry on going up? Well, quite simply, if this does hold and we carry on going up, I'm going to drag this all the way back now to here. Okay, and we'll do this. Okay, so if this does hold and we start to get above this point of control, okay, this last little bit of a sticky zone is right here, by the way, so this will be coming in roughly at 177 to 180 region. Okay, if we do start to get above this without having a pullback, okay, then we can start looking to contest these highs again. Okay, now lower time frame, if I was trading this, then I'd be looking at what happens at those highs. Do we get a little deviation, take out the highs, then you got a short trigger? Okay, I'd be looking to take a profit fast on this, because then there's the chance that this then could turn around and continue. Okay, and if we do get that, then you've got your EQ and you've got your value area high up here. So your value area high is coming in at roughly 241, and your EQ is roughly coming in at 290 for easy numbers. Okay, so this would be your next big zone. But you start to clear above this without a very quick reaction. Bear in mind it's a thin zone on the volume profile. Okay, so if you start getting above that and you don't get that thin, quick move into that, then we can start looking higher. And we can see here, we've got a sticky zone anywhere from roughly 269 up to 290. Okay, so that'd be my next areas of interest. Now, if we throw this onto a monthly chart here and zoom in, again, let's just mess around with it a bit. I can see here, we've got some monthly levels here coming in at that roughly that 269-ish zone. We've got a monthly level just below it. Okay, for anyone new, that's this zone here. Okay, so that'd be a very keen area of interest in my opinion. So anywhere within, up to this. Whoop, there we go. Anywhere within this zone here, okay? Within this zone here, it's be a bit of a zone. Everything's a zone, okay? Very rare that on an illiquid coin that you get a perfect level tap and move away, okay? Just because of how illiquid these markets are, especially right now, because there's just no participation in these at all. You can see that by the volume. A sneeze can move some of these coins. But if you do start coming up into this zone, changing structure to the downside, you got yourself a nice short trigger. Very, very simple, that one. And if you are long from lower, then you've definitely got to take profit on your longs, okay? You start clearing above that without anything, without any sort of reaction, then quite simply you're just looking back up at your range highs, okay? And then you've got the liquidity above this wick, okay? This wick, out of deviation, okay? You've got a whole zone here that you'd be looking for shorts, okay? But all we're doing effectively, if we just remove all this off this chart, let's get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, bring it back down, very simply, we're just range bound, okay? So like I said, even though that weekly looks like it potentially changed market structure, still range bound, okay, between these lows here, which are the old June lows from last year, and these highs here, which are from August last year, okay? This is just one big range, and this could go on for a long, long time. So you need to get comfortable trading a range, okay? You've got to stop being in the mindset of, oh, I'm just going to buy a big bag of this and I'm just going to hold it until new all-time highs, wherever you decide to buy it, okay? Either way, you still need an invalidation. What if you're wrong? What if this then goes down? Are you willing to hold that bag into a negative? Or are you going to be smart and use risk management and then look to buy it back lower? Which in turn means you can buy back more. Okay? You're going to use your head in this game. And that's why I don't understand why influencers will tell you to buy a bag and then forget about it. You know, buy a bag up here. It makes no difference when it's, you know, 100% higher. Well, it does make a big difference. It does make a big difference. Okay? So, play the range. Learn to trade the range, okay? If you do want to learn how to trade the range, then first and foremost, come over to our website, spitfiretraders.com. Free Discord down here. You can pick up quite a lot of information in our free Discord. Obviously, if you want access to the modules, the learning modules, there's over 30 of them now. This actually needs updating, including specific altcoin strategies and my daily trading plans, which include Bitcoin, altcoins, FX, and stock indices. Then this is what you get, and all this for the grand old price of 59.95 Great British Pounds, or in dollars that's $75, give or take. Okay, and then you will then get access to all this. Okay, within this, you've got your chat and chill, which is we'll be doing another one of these tonight. We're going over Bitcoin, potentially stock indices, and some forex. Mapping out my high time frame and low time frame trade ideas. You've got everything from absolute beginners, okay, through to advanced order flow techniques, Elliott wave theory, trading psychology, specific altcoin trading strategies, and exactly how I trade altcoins without holding anything back. So you'll learn everything that I have to offer. How to build your own strategies. There's everything in here, okay? So obviously that'll cost you the grand old price of $59.95, okay? So that's how you learn to trade a range. Next, we will move on to VeChain. Okay, so VeChain. Let's throw this onto the monthly, and let's throw this onto log to make it easier to look at. There we go. Right, so don't look great, does it? Okay, so we're still high time frame, still making high highs, low highs and lower lows. Okay, so we're still in a downtrend. Okay, this is looking on the monthly chart right now. Okay, so what will change my mind? Well, this effectively where we are right now needs to hold, and this then needs to start to change some structure locally on a lower term time frame. It's the only way you're going to change my mind. Until then, I'll be looking for lower prices. Okay, now we can see here, we've got, looking at the chart here, I mean to click right there, we've got a monthly zone down here. Okay, we've also got a monthly zone down here. Okay, so that'd be my first 2 points of interest, and this is one thing that the members do know. I've got points of interest down there. Okay, just throw on a fib retracement, throw this onto a standard retracement, go into the settings, shall we, and let's just change that onto log, and we can see here, this monthly zone down here lines up with the golden pocket from the RUNE lows up to the all-time highs, and we've got a golden pocket down there. Okay, so it's pretty obvious that you've got a region here. Okay, so if we start to come down there, start to range, start to get some accumulation going on, then you potentially got a long trigger down there. Okay, that's if that holds. If that doesn't hold, then again, I'm going to be looking for lower, and yeah, it's doom and gloom for everyone then. Okay, so that's the downside. That's on a high time frame. Okay, so if we now zoom in, okay, we'll take it off log, and now we can see what's going on. Okay, so first and foremost, can we see a range, and can we draw a very similar range to the other altcoins and Bitcoin? Okay, so we'll do from here to here. We'll throw this onto the old range fib tool. Okay, and we can see here the range fib tool works. Okay, and we can also see this other monthly level down here. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. This zone here needs to hold. Okay, so ideally what we need to see is we need to see a change in structure. And again, we're looking on the daily here to the upside. Okay, if we get that change in structure on the daily to the upside, then we can start targeting back up towards roughly call it 19 cents for easy numbers, effectively these highs here. If you start clearing this out without a pullback, then we can start looking back towards the effectively June lows. Okay, you start to get above there and we can look for higher prices. Okay, so this is crucial. So right now, where we are now, is crucial that this holds. If this doesn't hold, then we can start looking at those lower targets. If this doesn't hold, then I'll be looking for this to roll over. Okay, bear in mind this liquidity within this zone has already been tapped once by that first wick that we had down. Is that 2 weeks ago now? Okay, so if we do come down lower, then we've got this wick to contend with to backfill effectively. Okay, so if we come down here, get a change, then fair enough, you potentially got a long trigger there. If not, then again, we're looking down at that bang on 1 cent. Okay, funny that, isn't it? Nice round number. Everyone likes a round number. Does that mean I'll be leaving limit orders down here, by the way? No, it doesn't, because that's not how I work. I want to see it come down and I want to see what happens at this zone. It's all about having the patience. Everyone thinks that the market's just going to come down, wick down, and then bugger off without them. Okay, everyone loves this idea of a V-shaped recovery. Okay, and it might do that if you zoom out onto a high enough time frame. But when you zoom into a low time frame, you know, 4 hour, daily, even the 1 hour, you'll see that it comes down and it takes time. You get ranging behavior before anything happens. Okay, so you got loads of time to make a decision. Loads of time. People really just stop leaving limit orders and, you know, stink bids, as they call them. Just stop doing it. You don't need to when you've got loads of time. Set some alerts. Quite simply. Right click. Come up to the edge. Right click. Add alert. There. We've got alert now. So if price does come down to these zones, my alert will go off and I can come over and I can take a look at the chart. It literally is as simple as that. That's all we do when we're trading. Okay, so that's down to the lows. This is to the highs. Obviously, if we do end up getting acceptance back in to these June lows, back into the old range lows, then we can start looking back up towards the EQ, okay, which effectively would be taking out these highs here. Okay, big sticky zone that. If you don't get that reaction there to the downside, then you can start looking higher. And if we're looking higher, then we've got the range highs again, which effectively would be taking the liquidity above these highs, and then you start to contest these highs here. So if you get the reaction there, again, we're just trading the range. If you look at this, it's quite simple. Range lows to range highs. Range lows, deviation. Back into range lows, reclaim, up towards range highs. Front run it. Okay? Range lows, EQ, range lows. Deviate, back down. Okay? So we've just got a lovely range to trade. Okay? And this is a big range. Big range. It's not a small range, no. Even just sticking within the standard range. It's a 67% range. You know, it's a swing trader's range. It's great. And this could just go on again, similar to RUNE. This could go on for a long time. Okay. So then my targets to the downside, then my targets to the upside. And that's it. Obviously, if you guys want an altcoin covering next week, then let me know down in the comments which one. If you wouldn't mind, hit the like if you've learned something from this video. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. And until next time, gang, as you were. Bye-bye.